Welcome to another episode of the Pennock Knockdown, a podcast where we explore key tactics and strategies for digital marketing leaders in the beauty space. I'm really excited. I've got Jason Berkowitz on the call today. He is the founder and CEO director of Break the Web. They do SEO and community marketing for their brands. They are an agency and they work primarily in the DTC space. So, Jason, super excited to have you on the show today.
Likewise, Nikki. Thank you so much for having me.
So my first question is really how you got into founding your own agency, Break the Web, and what experiences did you have leading up to that moment?
Yeah, I think it's probably one of those stories that I never intended to own an agency or even just really do SEO. I was in school for physical therapy once upon a time and dropped out because I liked health and wellness, but I liked my own kind of selfishly and not others. And I was working as a personal trainer in downtown New York City for a few years, trying to not solely rely on the gym to give me new business. So I figured people are probably typing in personal trainer NYC. And that's where that journey just exploded. And I'm like, forget personal training. SEO is cool. It's a challenge. It's like a puzzle you're trying to put together. And that was a whole paradigm shift. And been in SEO since. It's about 15 years at this point.
Yeah, I was going to say SEO back then looked a lot different than it does today. So it's great to hear that you've enjoyed it the whole way through. I mean, I imagine most practitioners who were in SEO in the early 2000 and 2010 are still there. But there have been so many shifts. I wouldn't be surprised if some people headed out and started doing other things. So, okay, so you're in New York, you're realizing that there's this opportunity with SEO. And then from that moment on, the Break the Web agency just blossomed. So you've been around for a handful of years. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't even Break the Web. I didn't even legally register Break the Web until 2017. So I started off as a freelancer. I had a website that was called SEOservicesNewYork.org, which is still live. It's an exact match domain, of course. Legally, we were hyperweb marketing, but it's just like horrible names. It's like they're not brandable, and we're supposed to be a marketing agency. You got to have some flair to it.
Yeah.
So a little too much whiskey and watching TV. I saw that celebrities were breaking the web, and I found that BreakTheWeb.net and BreakTheWeb.agency were available. And I was like, that could be a cool rebrand. And that's kind of the inception of the brand overall. But leading up to that, it was more so me being a freelancer, slowly delegating a lot of the more annoying tasks or time consuming tasks where it's not the best use of my time. And then before you know it, you're delegating a lot and you have an agency.
That's incredible. Well, awesome on the rebrand. I think that Night of Whiskey and lots of TV really worked in your favor. And I know you've got some really cool brands working with you now. So I think you're in a couple of verticals. What kind of focus area from a client perspective, if an ideal client is listening, like tell me the profiles of the brands you work best with?
Yeah, so the type of brands we work best is actually more so niched down by persona type. So we've actually established that we work best with in-house marketing teams specifically, at least one person on the marketing team.
Hmm.
Usually try to top out at like 30 because then it's too many hands in the pot and things never get approved. But our goal is to really help in-house marketing teams of D2C brands just make SEO tons less annoying, make it more measurable, accessible, especially during these changing times and the industries that we tend to fall into. We've done a lot of work in the health and wellness space. We've done a lot of work in the beauty space, which is something that I definitely have never thought I would be in specifically, and also quite a bit in the pet space.
Yeah, we kind of fell into beauty too. So I love hearing that you're like, well, it was a stumble, but when you're in health and wellness, it kind of makes sense for the next stumble to be into beauty since they're so closely tied together. Tell us, Jason, a little bit about if a brand signs on with you, like what you're doing, how that retainer is looking in terms of how you're structuring your team's time and the things they're executing for brands.
Yeah, so we start very early on in the beginning with, before we start, we have a roadmap that is laid out of what we're going to do each month over the course of 12 months. While our agency specifically doesn't work with contracts, we do aim to kind of give our clients an idea of what they can expect each and every month and what's coming up. But really, right in the beginning, it's focused on a lot of the foundational SEO aspects. Things like technical SEO, making sure Google and other search engines and now AI can come and easily crawl your website, understand the content. And then at the same time, there are aspects where that does tie into user experience as well. Keyword market opportunity research. What are people searching for? What are they typing in? Are they looking for informational queries, just answers to questions? Are they looking for a place to spend money, more transactional intent? And that kind of sets the foundation of the SEO campaign leading into the on-page SEO recommendations, the tweaks on the page itself to be a bit more relevant to that demand and intent, and then off-page SEO, digital PR, outreach, and connecting with publishers to get the word out and bring some really awesome links back to our clients.
What is your position, and I'm sure it's even changed this year, on blogging and like net new content and like beefing up website content as opposed to us in like the consumer goods, like direct e-commerce websites? So much of the value is getting the sale to occur. So the PDPs as a focus. So kind of tell me how you structure the work related to enhancing what's already there and what's supposed to be evergreen versus like creating net new content on new pages of the domain.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a shift right now because Google's new AI overviews have really taken tons and tons of clicks away from top of the funnel informational queries. So it's still kind of weary there, but there's always a place for content,
Yeah.
thought leadership to help supplement also other marketing activities. And of course, you can still get organic visibility with Google search, AI, and stuff with top of the funnel informational content. A lot of marketers that we've worked with, they knew they had to write content. They just didn't know what to write about. And then let's say they've identified what topics to write about, how to make it valuable to both users and search engines and bridging that gap.
Yeah.
Because what's valuable to a robot might be very different than what's truly valuable to someone with a pain point or a problem in life.
So are there ever moments where you're like, we're not producing blog content, we're not creating new pages? And like, yeah, when would you say something like that would make more sense versus not drive results?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the customer and the ideal customer persona and our client's customer avatar. We have a client, for example, whose customer avatar is ultra high net worth individuals. They're in the travel space, and we've established that it doesn't make sense to target things to do in XYZ location because they're not searching for it. The people who are searching for it are not their ideal customer persona. And I say this because their product starts at like 100K. So it's really expensive. And most of the search volume and demand we've established is probably not that type of market. So content, while cool, they still publish content, thought leadership, news, updates, and maybe we'll give some off the record ideas and insights for the campaign, but just content wasn't applicable to them because their ideal customer persona wouldn't necessarily be looking for informational
Yeah.
related queries. They know what their customer persona knows what they want and they
Yeah.
just get right to it.
That's interesting. It's a good hypothesis to, or like theory to have, and then to be able to back that into, well, the data also matches, is pretty compelling. Because I could see a lot of strategists being like, that is precisely what you said not to talk about, is what one should talk about without seeing the data to correlate it, right? So that's a really good finding that you had for the brand. I want to talk a little bit about schema markup because I feel like there's so much hype and talk about it and what it does potentially for showing up better on Gemini and Copilot, ChatGPT. What's your take on that? Because I've had mixed information thrown my way around the importance of things like schema markup for SEO and for LLM.
Yeah, I think schema markup is more powerful, maybe, than it's ever been. Actually, maybe not. But in a way, for SEO purposes, first off, for e commerce brands, the benefit is on specific PDPs. You get those star ratings, those extra snippets in the search results that say average price, shipping time, availability, and those grab people's eyes. So there's a lot of increases in clicks for listings and search results that do have those rich snippets, which are fed by schema and or Merchant Center. It is slowly changing where Merchant Center is surprisingly getting a little bit better, reading content data on the website itself and getting that information. But now when bots like Gemini, Perplexity, OpenAI are looking at the source code of your website and you have more information, especially information like social proof in a way via reviews, review counts, product details, information, sizing, whatever, all the different attributes you can add to that schema, it could only help. So right now, I think there's a lot of inconclusive data. We have inconclusive data about the impact it has for AI platforms, but it could only help.
Yeah.
And I think nobody really has any data on, hey, we did this and this actually enhanced our visibility consistently in
Yeah.
the AI platforms. But logically, it makes sense. And it's
Yeah.
easy, but it's also good for regular SEO too.
I think I follow your camp too, of just there's no reason not to do it. So as long as the team can implement it, do it. But yeah, the hard proof is probably
Yeah,
hard to come by, that it adds a
dual
ton
benefit.
at the moment. Yeah. When are you starting to tell brands and find proof that traffic is declining as a symptom of the AI results and a symptom of people using things like ChatGPT? Or has that not really happened for your brands, a decrease in traffic for their business?
We've seen the biggest impact with the rollout of AI overviews with our clients because we were able to help clients with a content marketing strategy to hit all different stages of the marketing funnel from super top and then help drive people down the customer journey. And that took the biggest hit, where Google AI overviews are more prevalent for informational queries,
Got
and
it.
it just raised impressions significantly, but
Mhm.
clicks went down. Usually it's nice when they all go up together, but when
Sure.
there's like a split, that was the biggest impact. I mean, it's not a bad thing either because we're just being more strategic about getting more mid bottom of the funnel,
Yeah.
even with content, so that someone is closer to making a purchase. Anyways, we are tracking AI platform usage, and we have a few B2B clients in the tech space. They're the ones that are noticing some big increases in referral traffic coming in from these platforms, which we can isolate. The interesting part is consumer brands aren't getting as much traffic. We also built an internal tool so that we can track prompts from for the biggest platforms, just to start collecting data on how our clients are being seen and audited, and just the platform's perception of a brand and the other entities. What's interesting is a lot of them have great mentions, great visibility, but the question is really what's going to happen with user behavior. Are
Mhm.
people going to trust these platforms, A, to complete a checkout in that platform? If that platform sends a link over to our client, then
Mhm.
that's a win. The client owns the customer. There's also times where, like ChatGPT, for example, will recommend a brand or a product and they don't include a link. So
Yeah.
someone's highlighting the text, copying that brand name, and going back to Google
Mhm.
to make that search. So it's interesting. I think it'll be interesting to see the potential shift in consumer purchasing habits from everyday consumers, from products priced anywhere from $20 to $150. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll be the interesting one to watch.
You said that you're already collecting data. You built your own kind of tool for doing that in your own four walls. How can the average like marketer within a brand go about collecting this data and kind of like starting to track and analyze what's going on for their brand out there?
Outside of working with Break the Web, obviously, there's a lot of platforms out there that are now being built up to help with mentions and visibility tracking, sentiment analysis as well in the prompts. There's a whole bunch. I know a big brand called Profound. But they tend
Hmm.
to be on the higher side, but they are actually really, really awesome. The SEO tool SEMrush, I believe, just segmented their AI tracking as of, I think, maybe even this week, to allow for just $99 a month to start tracking prompts and specific brand mentions. So there are tons of tools out there now that are building up. We just built our own internally because we knew what we wanted.
Yeah.
And it's also a lot cheaper to build it internally if we're using direct API costs to connect with these platforms. It's actually significantly cheaper.
We use SEMrush as our main tool for the things we do in the SEO lane, and I missed that news that they're starting to integrate. So tell us a little bit about, I know one of the other things you like to talk about on podcasts is a little bit about not only your agency structure and like agency life, but maybe a little bit about like how you find the best way to structure the client facing teams that you're interacting with and kind of like what you found to be a special sauce for your four walls within Break the Web.
I think there's two different types of agencies that offer SEO services. You have the SEO agency that could be really, really awesome at SEO, but they stink at communication and setting expectations. And then they wonder why the client leaves after, like, hey, look at this cool chart. Doesn't make sense why the client left. But then on the flip side, there's agencies, mostly like full service agencies that just offer everything. They tend to be really awesome at experience and communication, but kind of suck on the SEO delivery side. We try to bridge that gap by having client facing teams that understand both soft skills, communication, building rapport. Also, again, not being annoying in a way, while also being strategic with SEO. So we have our account manager, our client success specialist, who is kind of the main point of contact at our agency for like anything they need. But we also have our SEO leads that are also client facing as well during meetings, just to help explain the nuances and the technicalities about SEO, because SEO is super nerdy. So try to bridge that gap, and client success specialist also helps make things a bit easier to understand.
How have you found this year to shift? So I'll give you an example. Back in April this year, we were doing SEO with a brand, and then the client was like, I don't care about SEO anymore. I only care about like the AI versions of it, AEO and GEO. And so we're like, great, on the next call, we'll be prepared. Like we can help pivot that way. We don't think it's a bad idea. It wasn't just like a respond to client, say yes, please. But we're like, yeah, sure. We want, if you're gung ho, like we'll go hard with you there. And on the next call, we came back and my team member, I wasn't present, but my team member was like, had done a lot of research, had a really formulated opinion and had strategy. And the client was like, how can you claim you're an expert in something that's just a few months old? And so she just like kind of was really like lost and surprised that my team had done the research and like analyzed some data and what was out there, and then was like perplexed that we had a strategy almost. Have you encountered anything weird? Like this year has just probably been the most turbulent in
Yeah.
SEO since I've started SEO, and I started around the same time as you. So just wondering if you've had any experiences like that too.
I mean, it's kind of weird that your team member was like, you guys were baited in a way. Like,
Yeah.
hey, present us about GEO, and then you do, and like, oh, this isn't foolproof. Yeah, that's an interesting scenario. We have a lot of clients asking questions, and
Yeah.
that's where I've been making a lot of podcast appearances talking about AI, GEO. That's been the bulk of my like right now, the last 2-3 weeks. Was just recording these type of conversations. I think there's a lot of interest in it because
Mhm.
SEO is no longer just becoming about Google, which again, if you haven't focused on Bing for a while, that's been a mistake anyways on your part. But SEO is becoming bigger, like the search engines, so to speak, are increasing in the way people are getting information. Like TikTok has been, again, Google still owns an insane amount of market share with search, but there are some other brands that are popping up in that bar chart. The way we go about it right now, and that's why we're just tracking data, is because there really is no foolproof framework. SEO, as you know, is at the end of the day really just theoretical. There's no like, unlike paid, where you'd be like, okay, we do this, we're probably going to get this. Specifically, where SEO, you're kind of hoping the algorithm does its job right, and sometimes it doesn't. So right now, we're just collecting tons of data. We're making sure that from a logical standpoint, I's are dotted, T's are crossed, good structures on the website, good hierarchy, information architecture, schema, really good page titles, really good web mentions from around the web, which is already something we've been doing, helping our clients get in listicles of like top X brands for XYZ industry, links back to their website, all these things that are proposed to be some of the frameworks. It really is just great foundational SEO. And I think there's going to be things like GEO that could be submitted in the future, especially in the e-commerce space. There's a potential under the radar, so to speak, not merger, but like collaboration with OpenAI and Shopify. So we'll see what that looks like, especially with the product feed. There's a waiting list that you can sign up for in OpenAI. I think me and
Yeah.
all of our clients are all on that waiting list. So I think there's definitely a big shift. We haven't seen a shift like this since probably 2010,
Mhm.
where the first Panda update came out, and that just destroyed everything.
Such a cute name too. Well, I wanna pause for a second because you said one thing at the beginning, you said it again, and I just really like that you're saying this because I think more SEOs need to hear this, and it was the PR backlinks, like the more meaningful, intentional links as opposed to buying some in foreign countries and stuff and, like, assuming it'll, like, do its job. So I really appreciate that's your angle and that's what you guys are after. And then I think the next part, going back to your team structure, is have you altered the way you're interacting as a team with each other or with clients as a symptom of this new interest in AEO and GEO?
Well, I appreciate that you appreciate our take on link building and digital PR. So thank you for that as well. And yeah, I think as an agency, if there are evolving trends taking place in a given market or industry, the best thing an agency could do is just get ahead of it. It's like the worst yesterday, actually. We didn't think we would get much emails and notes about this, but a lot of people were asking us about, hey, now that Instagram is allowing things to be indexed, how is that going to impact SEO? And 4 questions came in just yesterday. I ended up recording a 10-minute video looking at SEMrush data and showing like, this is what we're seeing, this is what we're analyzing, here's what your social team can do to maybe help. I see that as a good thing.
Mhm.
So we're just trying to get ahead of things. That was one we didn't get ahead of because we
Yeah.
didn't think it would be a topic of conversation, but we have our marketing managers that may be up to date with what's happening in the industry. And we may tell them, but it's actually their executive team, their leadership, whether it's a CTO, a CEO that's in that tech bubble, maybe so to speak, that sees the rise of AI and all the shininess and distractions out there that may start bringing it up. We just try to get ahead of it. Like we've had clients in the past that have brought things up, whether it was a Google update or something that happened. Like I remember when featured snippets came out. the block of text that gave you the answer right in the Google search results. Clients like, hey, how are we going to optimize for Google for featured snippets? And what are we going to do about it? Another instance of traffic loss. And that was also a realization like our clients shouldn't be asking us about this. We should be telling them proactively. So really it's just trying to be proactive versus reactive in how we communicate with clients.
I know productivity is another thing you like to chat about. Like, what are some hacks? Because you're an agency owner, you're the director of strategy for everything you're doing for SEO. You've got to get ahead of these things that are happening so that you're telling your clients, like you said, rather than responding to inquiries. Tell me a little bit about some of your secret sauce for making sure you're prioritizing correctly and being productive.
Try to get as minimal sleep as possible. I'm kidding. It's actually the opposite. Definitely need sleep.
Yeah.
It's really just segmenting your day. That's kind of the biggest one. Being strict about your calendar. If it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist. Also, make sure the team is aware of your calendar and also make sure that you're aware of their calendar. So everyone's just respectful of
Yeah.
everyone else's time. That's kind of the biggest one. There are some clients that might pay a little bit more for like priority support, so to speak, where, hey, we're going to ask a question and we kind of want an answer within like a strategic answer within a business day. That obviously is usually the wrenches that get thrown into the day to day, but we have a great operations team internally that makes everything for everybody as predictable as possible. So we have Friday schedules. We hope that everyone gets some time in for education, whether it's something that they're working on, whether it's just looking up the industry news, whether it's browsing the communities they're in. So we just try to maintain a good calendar and a good schedule where you could balance execution. There's only so much brain power in a day too. And it's definitely not a 7-8 hour day. It's usually about 3-4 hours where you can have like really strong focus. So making sure that that's also split up with other things that may require less brain power, like reading an article, putting your feet up, relaxing.
Love it.
How do you do it?
In theory, very similar to what you're describing. I think in practice, I struggle a little bit. Like operations, I think is stronger for me than like being a biz dev or like trying to figure out the sales piece. I've struggled with that. But the problem with agency life is when clients have something and it's a high need for them, like I treat it as a high need for me too. And so it's sort of like if assumed person who should be doing this bit of work for clients isn't available, it's all hands on deck to see who can jump in and help just so we can make the client's high priority thing something we also feel is a priority to just be good partners. So I think that's the struggle that kind of interjects with every day, kind of like you were saying, is you just have these surprises that need strategic responses within a 24-hour day. So that's sort of the life I live too. So it's a very interesting path, and some days are very busy and other days you get a ton of time to like put your feet up and check out the news. So I kind of like the surprise, but yeah, it's also a little kind of
And that's
like,
just one surprise. Like as an agency owner, that's just one of your surprises.
yeah,
There's a lot like
yeah,
a lot of randomness that tends to come up and take up more time than you really want.
exactly.
But
Exactly.
yeah, there's definitely an emotional roller coaster to agency life.
Yeah, 100%. What advice would you give yourself if you were back in 2010 and kind of just starting to figure stuff out, going out on your own for consulting? What would you tell yourself that's maybe different than what you actually did tell yourself back then?
There's a few things I would tell myself. I wouldn't necessarily change the trajectory because I think there's some hard lessons you got to learn, and that's usually through failure, which sets you up for success. I would say get some mentorship earlier. I spent a lot of time also just trying to debug everything myself, and becoming an SEO person, and that's really technical and strategic. And then at the same time, okay, I'm going to start building a business, but I don't know jack about running a business or how to be a good leader. So there's all these things that you can acquire easily. It's like a growth hack in a way, just by having a really good mentor. I personally have an SEO mentor and I have an agency life mentor, and they both absolutely keep me on track. And then I think the second thing is I would say delegate earlier. We have this belief, especially like entrepreneurs, that, oh, no one can do this as good as I can. But what they don't realize is they're half-assing it because you're not giving it your full attention because you're wearing many hats. So if someone was only focused on that area, and if you have the revenue and budget to delegate,
Yeah.
delegate sooner.
Yep, really good advice. I love that. So, Jason, really great to connect today. It sounds like any brand with 1 to 30 marketers needing SEO assistance is a good fit for you. So, hopefully, we'll find some good new brands for you to be working with. How should people reach out and get in touch with you?
Yeah, you can find us at BreakTheWeb.agency. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can Google Break the Web. We appear number one. So yeah, BreakTheWeb.agency is probably the best place to get in touch.
Awesome. So great. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Jason.
Thank you, Nikki. This was awesome.